I would like to invite you to the module Advanced Manufacturing. I would like to give you a short keynote, and after the short keynote I would invite 4 guests here on stage, and in this discussion on stage you will see we will discuss the future trends, what we see here in Hungary. First, I would like to start to explain a little bit why I am on stage here. Maybe you're asking Horváth and partner, but it's funny because my entire career already it was closely linked to Hungary. Why? I started in Stuttgart, but at Professor Horváth's chair for controlling. I finished my doctor degree at his chair, and after that I started for 6 years in his consulting firm Horváth and Partner. Clearly closely linked to Hungary because we have a very strong and high qualified division here in Budapest. And after that I went to Audi. And in my Audi career, I had so many touching points again with Audi Hungary and the development of Hungary in total. So again, it was a strong relationship in my personal career to Hungary. And even in my time as a board member, I had the lucky time to support with a lot of decisions our Hungarian investments here. And now I'm back at Horváth and Partner. And in my keynote, I would make a very short future outlook about technology trends. We heard about this already today, that the 2 major trends in our industry are autonomous driving, and with autonomous driving, especially the trend to mobility on demand. Because in a lot of markets today, mobility on demand is not really working. But with the advanced technology of autonomous driving, we will see that there will be a huge change in the customer behavior. And the second big trend for sure is electrification and decarbonisation, so reducing of CO2 emissions. Let's have one short outlook into this segment of autonomous driving and mobility on demand. Mobility on demand with autonomous driving cars means in the future you order your ride with your smartphone, the car will come in front of your house, you will enter the car and the car will bring you to your office, to your working place, wherever. Or even to your restaurant, your favorite restaurant. And after your restaurant, you call the car again, and even if you had 2 glasses of wines, you can go home with this car. So this is the future, but what will happen to the car park and the whole industry? So we made an analysis with a lot of customer surveys in behind. So let's look to the line with the European numbers. So for example, today in Europe we have 260,000 million cars registered. What does that mean? In whole Europe, 260 cars are in daily operations. And now the first number we learned is that 15% roundabout are really willing to replace their car, their own car, by an autonomous driving service. This could be a second car, this could be a third car. Some, especially in very expensive downtown situations, are willing to replace their own car by an service on demand. So this will lead at the end to a situation that the car park will go down by 46 million. What a disaster in the first impression. And on the other side, for sure we will see that there are some additional autonomous driving vehicles added. So at the end, let's keep the European numbers, we see a downtown trend of to 229 million cars in operation. Oh, there is a mixed number now. I see the plus 7.8. 8 million autonomous driving vehicles, we will see in Europe. Is this much? we save or we reduce the car park by 40 and add 8. So what does that mean? Round about 5 cars are replaced by 1 autonomous car. And now the question is, which we have also to discuss today for Hungary, where we have a strong car manufacturing industry, what does that mean for sales or production? And for the sales and production dimension, it's quite a different story, because the autonomous driving cars, the autonomous driving vehicles, will be replaced every 3 to 4 years. Today, a typical car has a life cycle of 15 years. So the production development will be not that dramatic, because yes, we will lose, for example, in Europe, a lot of production cars, because people won't have their own car, but on the other side, we will add again cars manufactured for the special purpose of autonomous driving. So at the end, you see, today we have a sales or production volume in Europe by 15 million cars, and in the future it will be around 14 point something. So not a huge, tremendous development. Yes, we will lose 2 point something million cars production for cars which are owned by organizations or people. On the other side, we will have an additional production for autonomous driving cars. That's why it's so important what we heard today already here on stage, that Hungary is prepared for this technology, because it's important in the future to produce also these autonomous driving vehicles, these small buses, these 6-seater cars, whatever, with the autonomous driving technology. Let's go to the second story, electrification decarbonisation. It's clear that we see a tremendous change in the drivetrain technology. Our estimation is that we will see a share of 30 to 40, maybe even more, % of electrified cars in the year 2030 in the yearly production and the yearly sales. And this is a topic which we have to discuss later on also in our open discussion here in the discussion round, because this is a tremendous change. In the beginning, and we know this all from our own customer behavior, it's not so easy to make the decision to buy an electrified car. That's why we are estimating for the next 3-4 years, it will be still a push market there, especially the car manufacturers have to push this technology into the market to achieve also the European CO2 legislation. But later on, we will see that there will be a really pull market development, that we see that the customers really will ask for electrified cars. Why? And one simple reason is electrified cars are more customer-oriented, more efficient. Look to the blue lines. There you see, for example, the diesel price in average for Europe, and also you see here, for example, the Hungary flag. So if you look how much really consumption expenses you have by using a battery electric car, it's clear that a lot of markets, a lot of users will in the future ask for battery electric cars, because they are cheaper in terms of consumption cost. Additionally, they will be cheaper in terms of service cost. So these are in the future more and more the driving factors why customers will switch from a combustion engine to an electrified engine. Very simple. We know this all from the diesel technology, why the customers buy diesel technology. It consumes less. It costs less in operating costs. And this, I call it always the diesel effect. This effect we will also see on the electrified car side, on the battery electric car side. One remark, why we think the push market will end 23, 24, 25, because we all know that the next emission standard will come, the EU 7 standard will come, and this again will increase the costs for the combustion engine cars. So the gap between the battery electric cars and the combustion engine cars will become closer, and then we have, as I said, this kind of diesel effect. The customer will be will to invest a little bit more, pay a higher price for the car because the lifetime savings are high. And typically, we conducted also some customer surveys. And if you calculate with the customers the business case, their private business case, their operating cost business case, then they say, okay, if I could save 300, 400, 500 euro, 600, 700 euro a year, operating costs, yes, I would like to have a battery electric car, even if I pay 2,000 more. And even if you look today to already leasing rates of battery electric cars, we have already the situation that the leasing rates are cheaper than combustion engine rates because of the better residual value. Why it will be most likely in the passenger car segment a battery electric car, it's just a question of how efficient the drivetrains are, starting always with green energy to avoid CO2 emissions. If you use a battery vehicle car, you have an overall efficiency of around 70 to 80%. A fuel cell car is around 25 to 35% at the end, and e-fuels, a kind of bridging technology, will be around 10 to 20%. So most likely we see from today's perspective that in the next 10 years, 10, 15 years, especially the battery electric cars will win the race. And now we have to discuss how these two trends are influencing and impacting the industry here in Hungary. And therefore, I would like to invite on stage my four guests. Please come on stage. Feel free.
So.
Maybe we have the names on the background, then we know how we have to sit, or the names are not coming, so it takes a little bit. This cluster has no names. Oh, I have to sit in the corner, obviously. So you know who is talking to you, so I think it makes sense.
No, yeah.
So,
yeah.
I explained a little bit the future trends in the automotive industry. I would like to start with you, my former colleague at Audi. How you see are these trends to e-mobility, for example, impacting your business here in Hungary, where we know you are, at least in the Volkswagen Group, one or the biggest combustion engine plant?
Yeah, we are the biggest engine company or engine plant in the VW Group. And what you said us before, this transformation from internal combustion engines towards electrified engines has tremendous effect on us. It will change the business. But luckily, we prepared ourselves years before, so we got already one electric engine for the e-tron in production. But it's not the only challenge Audi has to face, or let's say the whole industry has to face. So job number one is increasing productivity, saving cost. Euro alone has a cost-saving program that has to bring 3 million euros until 2022. And this is really the base for our future, because everything we save, we can invest in the future. And now we are in Hungary, but we are in a production network, and we have a very, very tough and increasing competition between our engine plants in Central and in Eastern Europe. So what's now the effort as we talk about advanced manufacturing? Surprisingly, the main part of our production still is internal combustion engines. So if we talk about cost reduction, we have to put on tremendous effort in increasing productivity, quality, every processes we have in order to save those costs. So innovation comes to another speed. Maybe we are reaching the peak of the innovation in this so-called old business. And then let's talk a little bit about the electric engines. And we talked a lot about R&D effects. If you really want to produce a new product, you have to prepare yourself a lot in advance. Actually, we started to prepare our plant for this product by 2010, and we got into production by 2018. And all processes were totally new for us, so we set up a prototype line and everything, and spent really some money in order to be able to launch that product. And it was a very good investment because we are the second plant in Europe that is producing electric engines. The first one was naturally in Germany, and it brings us in a good position. But the base for everything was that we also qualified our people. And this here in Hungary is a very good base because we have a very good relationship to the university, especially to the university in Dier, so that we qualified our engineers. But also we qualified our blue-collar workers from the old business to the new business. So now we have approximately 250 electric experts already, and we believe that this transformation process that we started gives us a good base.
For me, it looks like Audi is a really good example to manage the transformation. You manage now the transformation from combustion engines to e-engines, and in parallel, you manage also the old industry of extended workbench, that Hungary is just an extended workbench for the foreign companies, now to a more R&D focused company.
Actually, we started very early with development activities. We started already in 2001, and we increased those activities time by time. And if you have to launch new products, it is really an advantage that you have development and production close by.
So you emphasize a thesis that I have anyhow. Even if we are here in the session advanced manufacturing, you always have also to discuss about R&D, because without R&D you won't develop the production processes for these advanced technologies. So anyhow you need this. Let's go to Mr. Juranek from Continental. What do you invest in terms of R&D? I think you'd also invested already a lot in this area.
Yes, I would start with the point of the transformation has started, and we are in the middle of the process, and it's reflecting as well our resources here in Hungary. Because if we are looking on the closeness of the operations to the R&D location is a key. Without this, you cannot be successful. Here in Hungary, we have I just now leave the area of the electrification. We have the Center of Competence Learning Center for the Automated Driving, which we are reaching 100 employees during this year. And what we see, it's really very close link when we want to start in that new field in a city like Budapest, for example. We see that there is this learning process, and I think this is nice gremium today because this is the key that the politicians, the municipalities, the business holders are meeting together. And in respect of the R&D locations, what we see is I would call it soft factor. I would call it really soft factor. We have heard about a lot of figures today, but one topic which was as well mentioned with some speakers before is the topic of the understanding of the need of the companies, and as well the other point is as well attitude. And I think this is something which we are in the continuous discussion, especially with the Ministry of Innovation and Technology here in Hungary. What is the real need for the future? And with the connections to the universities, and here I think that we have a lot of good examples how to continue with it. We are reaching the certain level that we are not transforming 5 years ahead the business because it's too late. We do not know what will happen. What we do now, it's in fact that this is the continuous development of the curricula for the need of the companies, which is good example with Audi in Dier. It is excellent example as well. On the other hand, cooperation with the other colleagues in Kecskemét, Miskolc, and so on. And we do the same in Debrecen, for example, for the electromobility.
So I see also Continental is on the way to produce here e-engines here in Hungary. Exactly. So also there's the transformation ongoing. And again, the puzzle piece in between is also to have R&D and engineering here. Otherwise you won't get, based on worldwide decisions, where these advanced technologies will be produced, you won't get the decision to produce it here. I think we have the same template at Bosch. Bosch is traditionally closely linked to the drivetrain, especially the combustion engine drivetrain. I think you have the same experience. What is your strategy, how you manage your investments here in Hungary regarding R&D, software, and especially also the transformation in the drivetrain?
So Dietmar, thank you very much, and thank you much for inviting us to be part of this panel discussion or roundtable. If you allow, I will go a little bit backwards because we have a little bit longer history than our competitor, Continental, in the market. So we are already 121 years here in Hungary, or selling our products in Hungary in 101 years since we found our very first sales office. Obviously, in the meanwhile, there were some historical successes where we drove back, but we came back really hard and really strong. So we are a very humble company, but I would like to say that actually we're the biggest industrial employee in Hungary, with roughly 15,000 employees all over Hungary. And we started mainly by made or produced in Hungary. So it's extended workbench, but as every time it happens, so when you invest and you go over to a complete new field, a complete new surrounding, and we are very happy to be here because what we found in Hungary and mostly in the last years and the last decade is really a reliable partner, a predictable partner, strong relationship, and also we can put our ideas into it and really in a common sense to do good things for Hungary, and obviously as Hungary is good for Hungary, is good for us in our business. So we have the biggest automotive electronics plant in the Bosch world here in Hatvan, with roughly 6,000 to 7,000 employees. We have the biggest power tools, home and garden manufacturing in Miskolc. We have the only and solely one who is doing electrical or e-motors for e-bikes, for electrical bikes, or supporting the pedelecs here also in Miskolc. We have really a strong steering column business here as well. So from that perspective, we heard it in the morning, there is a transformation also for Hungary, strategy and vision made in Hungary or producing Hungary to invented in Hungary or designed in Hungary. I would say it invented in Hungary. And maybe we participated in this idea because a couple of years, or a little bit more than a couple of years away, we took the decision, we said in order to force and knowing that we have skilled and competent workforce in Hungary, we clearly made this strategical decision to set up an engineering center. Starting as extended workbench, but actually we are overwhelmed. So in the last 5 to 6 years, we quadrupled. So we have roughly 3,000 engineers, 1/3 of them for software. And we are focusing in e-mobility and or electric mobility and also autonomous driving, because we give young people the chance really to shape the future following our slogan that invented for life. So what we realize, and we think it is a good paradigm, it's not only about the competency and to become competitive in the market. What we found out that despite that we are competitive, for me, it has a second or big, very important word is competent. So we have competent, skilled people who are really keen in order to drive and shape the future. And we figured out also in order to support the future manufacturing and plants, this we will do, we need research and development. Yeah. So without that, this is the first step in order to develop the products of the future and to assure in a sustainable way that the plants will have further work. And nothing better than being here in Central Eastern Europe.
And I learn now something. You see, Hungary is not anymore an extended workbench. These times are definitely over. We have here 3 good examples on stage where R&D, process engineering, production process engineering is key to bring also these high-end technology products to Hungary. But now you have already a very interesting title in your job description, discrete business. Yeah.
Discrete industry.
Discrete industry. So this means where you have not a long-term development, really jumps in the development. And why is Hungary for Siemens so attractive, even under this perspective of discrete industries?
Yeah, maybe I start that more with a broader view first. Siemens itself is active in Hungary since more than 130 years. Sorry for that.
Somebody is better.
And for example, the first electric tram and the electric underground of Budapest are from Siemens and is going back to the 19th century. So we are active in Hungary since a very long time. And let's say based on this experience, of course, many businesses of Siemens are active in Hungary. It's not only digital industries as it's the colleagues from Helmut, the colleagues from mobility, the colleagues from Siemens Gamesa, etc. Now, coming to digital industries, where I'm coming from. What is digital industries basically doing? On one hand side, we have, let's say, automation software and automation systems, and on the other side, we have PLM software. These are, let's say, the 2 things we are doing. And based on this, let's say, we want to drive, let's say, the future of manufacturing with our partners, for example, the car industry. Now, going to Hungary, maybe what's interesting and maybe what astonishing, the interesting point for digital industries is not manufacturing, it's software. We started to develop software already in the 90s with a company called Evosoft, which we acquired in the meantime a long time ago. And we started, or they started with 3 engineers, and now we have 1,600 engineers there who are developing software for us. And let's say similar as in the manufacturing, okay, we started also more, let's say, with a workbench idea in mind, but today this is simply part of our product development. Mm-hmm. So, and now the interesting thing, let's say the challenge we see in today's manufacturing, and not only in car industry, we see this also in other industries, is that we are facing, let's say, tremendous challenges regarding future flexibility, adaptability, ensuring quality, etc. And one key to achieve this is, in our opinion, to digitalize, let's say, the processes within the manufacturing. And now I think Hungary is getting very exciting for us, because on one hand side we have this high capabilities in manufacturing, for example, at our car providers, but also in our own factories. We have also factories in Budapest here. And on the other side, we have the software skills that we ramped up at Eversoft in the last 25 years.
Mm-hmm. So it underlines again the story. Hungary is, as said, not anymore an extended workbench. It's far more. Yeah, we find a lot of qualified people. I even know this from my own experience at Horváth and Partner. I always like to cooperate with my Hungarian colleagues, even on worldwide projects, because it's always fun to cooperate with them. Yeah, you said it's also an emotional component there. So I think the social skills are also very important. But coming back to facts, I know also from my personal time in the Audi board, we took a lot of decisions for investments in R&D here in Hungary. Maybe you can announce something what's still secret, what you are developing there.
I will not announce any secrets.
It's slippery, but maybe.
No, but still, as I told you, I would state out what you said. We started with our development department in 2001. And by that time, it was more or less a workbench of the mother brand in Germany. And continuously, we developed our people. We spent a lot of effort in qualification. And I believe this is also a tremendous advantage here in Hungary, that you get close relationships to universities, a strong support from the government when you set up such projects, to qualify your people to the workforce and to recruit them and to keep them consistently on a high level. But coming back to your question, yes, as I told you, due to our close relationship between manufacturing and development, we were able to win also a new electric engine we will launch in a couple of years, and we will get one car with an electrified powertrain, and we are also able to participate in the further development of electric engines. So I believe, coming back to the question, do we have a future in Hungary? Do we have a future as an automotive industry, as a plant? Yes, we have, due to the circumstance that we prepared ourselves quite well during the last decade, and that we prepared ourselves for this transformation process quite in advance.
Okay. Wow, this is a strong message. I know that you are now producing actually every e-engine for every electrified car for Audi. This is the actual status?
That's the actual status.
And even for the future, you get the next generation of e-engine, the production decision?
Almost. We will have to buy some, but we will deliver our engines also to other brands within the VW group. So,
wow. So again, a strong signal for investment in Hungary. Coming back to Conti, we talked about drivetrain technologies, but I remember you have always also invested a lot in autonomous driving systems here in Hungary. Could you explain a little bit how much you invested or how big this investment is, so you get a feeling that Hungary is not only also here a small part of your German or European R&D team, it's really a strong own R&D team.
Mm-hmm. Let me enlarge the scope, if you allow me, because if I am looking on the landscape of Hungary, we are experiencing all the corners of Hungary. Mm-hmm. It means it's as well emphasizing the ability of the country to absorb absorb the future business. And if I will just referring to the R&D center, our investment is particular investment here. It was started 2 years ago. That means we are new kid on the block. Yeah? In direction of the automated driving. Nevertheless, what we can say that the team is completely on board with the long-range radar, short-range radar, and lidar. That means all the technologies which are up to date, state of the art, they are already developed by this hub, which was centralized here in Hungary. We are talking about a 100 headcount. One more topic which I would like to emphasize, and this somehow the bridge between the R&D locations and the full manufacturing site, I would call it competence center. And this is, I would take your example about this extended bench, that Hungary is not anymore the extended bench. And this is just what we are doing in Debrecen. We are starting from the scratch with the e-mobility, completely on the new greenfield, and we are establishing this factory, including the construction part for sure. Then we need just 1 year to ramp up the complex manufacturing for the OEM in Europe. Yeah? And we are doing that with the local team. This is as well the advertisement, or I would like to say that this attitude, and I would call it even a hungriness of the local drive. I call now about Debrecen city itself. It's driving and supporting us business so much that we had recent decision, again with small scope. We are looking on the advanced manufacturing competence center group for the manufacturing technologies. That means and from that, this development will be for worldwide side for all the powertrain plants. Yeah, that means it's not about product itself only, it's as well about the processes. And this is as well this, I would say, spread of the capabilities what we see here in Hungary, particularly now this example in Debrecen.
So I think we learned a lot about the qualification of the Hungarian young talents and also the workforce that's motivated and all this. But how long you are now in Hungary?
3 years.
3 years.
By myself.
What is your emotional, social skill component you would like to emphasize? Why Hungary is so nice and so it's worth to invest here?
I will come in 1 second back to it. If you allow, you can make it more faster to have the automation, just buy it from us, and then we are good on that.
I have to jump in now, yeah?
Sorry for that. It's order to also to retain the market size. But nevertheless, I think competence is not just joking. Competence is every time good, and we are glad that you're focusing on a region that we are not at all being very present in there. Coming back to Hungary, so what I still really remind when I first step over, so I quickly recognize the capability and the willingness of the young people to really to make the difference. And as I said before, the competences, so also with our partnership with the universities. From that point of view, a really nice grounding foundation. But what makes the difference out of it? Is their keenness, is really, as I said before, their willingness to shape the future, to be not only Hungary, not only a small country, but to be a remarkable country. And this is something where, from an emotional side, I strongly believe is very important. Therefore, if you allow me, I would like to jump a little bit, not only to say what we did good and where we are today and what we are good, so we should look into the future. So I really appreciate, or we as a company appreciate, that the government is taking strategic decisions and have a vision where they would like to come. And we as strategic partners, most of us signed strategic agreements, we are supporting that, content-wise. But we should also be realistic. So I would like to say what is important for us is really, first of all, is, and just imagine the size of our company was roughly 15,000. So human capital is the most valued asset, despite of blue collar or white collar. Secondly, we have also a social responsibility and industrial responsibility to train the next or the blue collars towards white collars to have more skills in the future, because the future we already know it will be digitalized, it will be robotics, it will be everything. So we need to do that, and in order to fulfill that, I strongly believe that what we need from Hungary is still, we need to take care and look at the demographic situation of the future. So we will have the less workforce will be an issue. It is today, and it will be stronger. Secondly is the education system. We cannot rely on that. The plans are beautiful, but if you ask if our Hungarian university, with all respect, and I love them, and I have really close contact with all of them, but we need to come on in the top 100, at least in Europe or at least in the world, in order to attract other peoples out of Hungary to come over here, really to attract, because it's all about competence and education. And third and not last is healthcare. So if our human capital is the most important, we really need, and we would like to encourage and like to be part of it, not only demanding, but being part of it, really to take care about our people also in the future. And these are interesting challenges for all of us together. It's not only ours, it's for all of us in a transformational, and the minister was not taking the word crisis, but I will change constantly, very fast changing environment in Hungary and outside around Hungary. So from that perspective, I say we have the basis, we have the foundation, so we have really the courage and the opportunity for doing it, and this is why we are strongly believing further on in Hungary.
So, unfortunately, I see we are running out of time. So thank you for all your answers. I would like to sum it up. First of all, what we learned, Hungary is not anymore the extended workbench. It's far more. You find a lot of talented young people which are highly motivated. It's worth to look deeper into R&D functions, in engineering functions, in software functions for digitization topics. And I think this is an encouraging final statement, what you said, that the young talents are hungry. And I think this makes a little bit the difference why you all and we all should invest in Hungary, because the talents are fresh and really eager to change the world and go the last mile. So thank you for listening to our discussion. Thank you. And you see that Hungary is already on the way to the transformation. E-engines are built, artificial intelligence with all the sensors for autonomous driving are developed and built here in Hungary. So thanks for your participation. Thank you all. See you in the next module.
I like it.
Robin, now we need you.
Do we have a copyright?